Hey, what's good, y'all? Joe Boogie in full effect mode. One down is the sound. You know how we do. This is, of course, the Lounge Presents. We are live streaming on Twitch right now. And, of course, all episodes are on Spotify on demand. So if, for whatever reason, you didn't catch this live, you will be able to catch it on demand via Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. But without any further ado, we'd like to welcome into the lounge space for the first time none other than B. Girl Hannah.
Hey, what up?
What's good, Hannah?
Oh, it's good. It's going good.
Yes,
Live.
yes, most up. Great to get you on the pod. I mentioned to you briefly before we went live that, yeah, when we're watching the international scene, obviously, you kind of, after a couple of go rounds, you start to pick up on certain talents. You know what I'm saying? And you definitely are one of those talents that I just have this really strong feeling that we're going to see some big things coming from you.
Oh, thank you. That's
I'm
really sweet.
saying, nah, for real, for real.
Glad that
So
you
we
like it.
always start off. We always start off the episodes by asking how we were first introduced to hip hop culture.
I guess I was first introduced to hip hop culture as a kid, through dance and music, just through popular dance and music. Um, but it wasn't until I started breaking at 22, 21, that
Okay.
I actually discovered breaking. And I feel like that was an actual proper introduction to hip hop culture. I feel like before I saw things and I knew, yeah, like I knew what graffiti was. I kind of knew what hip hop dance was. I kind of knew what hip hop music was, but it wasn't until I started breaking that I got into like all the elements of hip hop and that. So yeah, I was
Okay.
introduced to breaking. Yeah.
So how did that introduction come about?
So I used to train studio styles. So ballet, jazz, tap. I used to do a lot of ballet when I was young. But I went through a bit of a phase after I moved to Sydney because I was from Adelaide. Um, I tried to get jobs and things. Did all the auditions, did all the musical auditions and everything. And I kind of ended up sort of burning myself out, but also feeling kind of like something was missing from what I was doing. Like, I was never necessarily like that good at anything, but I felt like there was a need to create that wasn't fulfilled through doing other people's steps.
Mm.
So then I kind of started to explore freestyle, street freestyles, and I started off with popping actually. So I did a year
Okay.
of hardcore popping before I found breaking after that at a battle. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I've got to ask. When it comes to I mean, popping, breaking, it's all part of hip hop dance. But what specifically drew you to this element? What drew you to just hip hop dance in general?
I think there's a part of me that has a lot of excess energy, and a lot of excess physical energy that needs to be exerted. I would say, like, as a child, I was like quite an angry child, quite emotional. So for me, doing something physical's a really important part of my life and my mental health, and also just like
Mm.
it's a way, it's a release as well.
Oh
So
yeah.
for me, doing something physically, even when I did popping, for example, I felt that wasn't quite physically exerting enough for me. That's why I ended up not sticking with it, because I found it quite restricting and very technical. Like,
Yeah.
even though I really like technical stuff, I felt like that's why I was so drawn to breaking specifically, because it was just like you maxed out.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I hear that. I hear that. When you were growing up, what kind of music were you growing up around? What was being played around the home when you were coming up?
when I was growing up, I actually listened to a lot of jazz. We had
Okay.
I went to a music school, so there was a lot of classical, like orchestral stuff. I also played the viola. Yeah, which is kind of strange.
Okay. No, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. But I loved jazz, and we used to go to this jazz festival on an excursion. I got into the vocal group just so I could go with the big bands, and we would kind of just listen to jazz for like an entire weekend, and it was one of the best
Mm.
weekends on a school trip you could ever do. Um, so definitely a lot of jazz and classical and orchestral stuff when I was growing up. Um, and that kind of at the time I was doing studio style, so like music theater and jazz and that. And I feel like that kind of jazz music, the true jazz music, kind of like influenced my jazz style, if that makes sense, as
Oh,
well.
totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So we're opening it up a little bit here. We can see that, there was definitely music in your background before you ever, you know, took, kick to floor type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it came to the music, what was your first introduction to the music?
To jazz music or to music in general?
Hip hop music, actually.
The hip hop music. Um, I would say I went through like a massive R&B hip hop phase when I
Mm,
was doing popping because we had
okay.
I learned from Jack. I don't know if you know Poppy Jack. He
Oh,
had really
nice.
yeah, he had really good playlists all the time, and so like
Yeah.
I kind of went through like the Spotify rabbit holes of like all the hip hop
Yeah.
R&B, and I had like the longest like 2 day long playlist of all the like old school classic. It was a bit R&B, like R&B hip hop.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that was, I would say that that was the first time I was fully into hip hop and
Okay.
like
Okay.
obsessed with it.
Now, you just dropped the name Pop and Jack, so we gotta ask, how did the training under Pop and Jack come about?
That was when I went through the sort of different phase of my dance career and I was thinking about expanding my movement. I just wanted to figure out what else I could do to improve my
Yeah.
movement, basically.
Hmm.
And everyone in the commercial world goes like, "Oh, you should learn foundations." And I was like, "What is this foundation thing?" So I ended up going there, but there's a part of doing a freestyle dance that you can always be thinking about it in the background. And
Yeah.
you don't have to go to, like, you can be at a class, but then you go home and you practice, or you go
Yeah.
away and you practice. And that, it kind of gave me that little like obsession thing when I did it. And it was like really engaging for me rather than just like going to class, learning choreography, and going home. Um,
Hmm.
a skill that I could like really unpack and develop. So yeah, that's how I started doing popping.
Nice, nice. No, that's sick. That's sick. Now, when it came to you delving into breaking, were there any particular talents that might have drawn you in after seeing them dance?
Oh, definitely over the time. But I think when I first started, honestly, just seeing all the b-boys in my area or my city, in the
Yeah.
training spot I was training at, it was the first time I'd really seen people express themselves like as who they are. Like I could see who they were from them dancing. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy because I've
Yes.
only ever seen 5, 6, 7, 8 do this. Everyone looks the same. And I was like, this is nuts. Like this person. And I felt like I knew them like straight away without even having a
Right.
conversation with them, just from them dancing. So that's what really like, that's what inspired me to start and find my own style. But I guess, yeah, like over the period of time, like I learned under Vin, who's like V Flow. He was probably one of my first main teachers.
Okay.
Um, and then overseas, honestly, like I started watching all the Red Bull stuff and like
Yeah.
I fell in love with like Cassette and she was like amazing to me. Not just because
Yeah.
she'd won, her style and her personality and her like originality is crazy.
Hmm.
And yeah, I went through a phase where I was like really into like the Polish scene and the Polish breaking scene as well.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like it had that like rawness to it, like that total wild
Yeah.
energy that I was like,
Yeah.
wow, like this is like expression. And I thought that was pretty gangster, like because it can be technical. There's so many ways you can break, and
Yeah.
that for me was like, oh, like it made my heart like engaged. But now I think at the moment, like one of my favorites still is Diaz, because I also
Say a
love
word.
Fred. So yeah,
Yes. Yes.
he's so dope. Yeah, so
Yes.
good. Yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Oh, I love it. When you really, when you came to that moment when you knew you were going to start take breaking a little more seriously, and it became evident to the people around you, like your family, what was the reaction to their child coming home and saying, "I am going to dance"? Oh, awesome! Yeah, you do dance. No, no, I'm going to break.
Look, I don't know when the announcement really was, hey, because I kind of just do things. Like I sometimes I barely even tell people what I'm doing. I just go do it. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm,
but also I feel like when I first started, like I also just like I don't know, it wasn't a secret. I wasn't like, oh, no one knows I'm breaking. But it was like it
right.
was kind of just for me. So like I wasn't like I'm suddenly a big girl like straight away. But I guess like maybe my first battle, even though I was still a beginner, that's when it
Mm,
started being maybe like, okay, this is other people are going to know now that this is a
yeah.
thing. Because it took over my life straight away. Like I was there like every day, I swear. Like before I did my first battle, I was just like, this is my thing. And it kind of had that weird nervous feeling of like, should I be here? I don't know. Like, am I meant to be here? But like I couldn't help it. Like I had to like come to the spots and like watch and learn and train. So I don't know how to answer that question. How people reacted. Was it how people reacted to me breaking?
No, I mean because when breaking isn't a lot of normies. I would just say a lot of normies look at breaking and think, oh yes, that was in the '80s, right? That was a movie in the '80s or something, right? So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
in a lot of situations when folks, you know, mom, dad, guess what? I'm gonna break. What do you mean you're gonna break? I'm gonna break. What do you mean break? And then you show them like, oh, you're break dance. Like, well, yeah, but no, I'm gonna break. And guess what? I'm gonna compete. Oh, good for you. No, no, you don't understand. I'm gonna compete on a national level.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think when I started competing, like when the Olympics came around and all that, it was a bit more of they were like, "Oh, this is like legit. Like this is happening. This is a real thing." I think that's when
Yeah.
everyone sort of turned around and was like, "Oh, this is a thing." But
Mm-hmm.
even people nowadays, like I work at like a cafe, and like half of my customers, it took them like 2 years of knowing me to, you know, end up asking the
Yeah.
question, find out that I did it, and they're like, "Whoa, that's like wild." But I think they actually most people are cool about it. They're just like, "Oh, that's so different." Like I don't know any B girls. I think that's the reaction.
Yeah.
Like I literally don't know a B girl or B boy, so
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think that's what they think. Yeah, but they might think I'm
Uh,
weird. I don't know.
I mean, just because frame of reference for most, like I said, for normies, the frame of reference is, I mean, dated, right? So
Yeah,
we don't have high expectations of what they think.
yeah. Also, one thing I would mention is my dad used to ballroom dance. So when he found out that I
Okay.
was doing this competitive, he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were doing this competitive stuff." And I think that was actually closer to what he used to do than like
Okay.
studio styles because it is like a
Yeah.
freestyle, yeah, sort of thing.
Okay. So it was a lot more palpable for him to hear it and say, okay, yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Sick, sick. You alluded to something a little bit earlier about when you're around other breakers, other dancers, if you're in a cipher, or even if you're just linking up at a club or a party or a place to practice space, the one undeniable thing is that camaraderie. That you may not know each other too well outside of the cipher, but when you're there, you know each other,
yeah, yeah.
right? It's like a deeper connection type thing.
And in international battles, I feel that too. I got to ask them a question in English, and they don't speak English, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just shocked.
yeah. That's and I mean, as much as obviously love the fact that the culture has spread so immensely and so wonderfully on a global scale. But when you're English speaking, and then next thing you know, you're surrounded by dancers from like a million countries and not necessarily all speak English. Your communication is the dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, so was your first crew that you ever linked up with the crew that you are with now, or did you have any previous crew before that?
They are not my first crew. So when I
Okay.
first came up, I was a member of Hybrid Forms crew. I don't
Okay.
know if you know the crew. Um, I left them 2020. I'm gonna say 2022, beginning of 2022, maybe.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then I was solo for about a year and a bit, and then I got
Mm-hmm.
picked up by Vanguards of Style after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was there a process of now you got to run the gauntlet if you want in type thing?
Funny you say that. There was for Hybrid Forms, but like again, one of the reasons like I was in the crew for I would say a couple years. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're still not really officially a member because you haven't done the gauntlet thing. You haven't done
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
around, as a joke." But I'm also like, "But guys, like, set it up for me." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I
Right.
was already repping the crew. I was already doing stuff, in the competition. I was literally already going overseas, like repping that crew,
Yeah.
and they're still just like making jokes like that. But it's just like, yeah, it's a thing. For Vanguards, no, I didn't. But I think after battling so much, yeah, it wasn't about me having to prove to get in. I think they accepted me for my style, for who I was, and my
Yeah.
approach to breaking. I think as well. Yeah.
Dope. No, I feel you. I bring that up because I mean, the gauntlet was when I was active, not active really much anymore, but when I was active, even if you were already in the crew, the gauntlet was still a weekly thing. You kind of prove to keep your spot type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know we're not the only ones that did that. So I had to ask, if you went through something similarly.
I guess the only thing I did was like a cipher session with everybody. Like they brought
Yeah.
everyone back in, and then we did like and that was before they were like, okay, she's in now. Like I
Yeah.
still had to, but that was chill. That was not like I know what you mean. Back in the
Yeah.
day, would have been very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we mentioned the Olympics earlier. Do you remember where you were when the official release came out and it was Paris 2024 was a go? Do you remember where you were?
To be honest, no, because a
Okay.
lot of us didn't really believe that we would go.
Oh, okay.
To be really honest, it was a thing, but I had almost just started breaking when it was announced. That's how young I am in breaking.
Oh, okay.
Started breaking
I
in
hear that.
2019. So I was like, I wasn't thinking about it. I was just like, oh, I'm breaking.
Okay.
It really wasn't until Loie made ABA and then started trying to fly some of us over for these bigger
Yeah.
comps that it was like, oh, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until Oceania happened, because we didn't think that was going to happen. We were just like, no one from Australia is going to make it in past these brutal comps.
Yeah.
When we found out Oceania was happening, which was literally like the year before Paris,
Yeah.
everyone was like,
Yep.
oh my God, this is happening. And now
Yeah.
Australia is going to like be in the Olympics as well. So, yeah.
And even then, even though the announcement came out, we already known that there had been a campaign to make it happen for a couple of years already, because it actually debuted at the World Olympic Junior, right? It's
The Youth Olympics, is that?
yeah, the Youth Olympics.
Yeah.
So, and the campaign to bring it to the Olympics had already, it had already been going on for a couple of years. So even though we didn't know for sure if it was going to happen, we knew there was a very, well concerted push to make it happen.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. There was so much work behind the scenes.
Yes, and to watch every part, to watch basically every part of the world get their shit together as quickly as they did. You know what I mean? And you're just like, wow, okay. People really are like, it was impressive because for all intents and purposes, they were able, obviously with the help of the World Dance Sport Federation, they were able to get things up and running fairly quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Even
that was,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say even some of the breakers joined in last minute, I would say, like halfway through the WDCF process. Like
yeah,
someone like Kate, for example, I remember Kate not doing a lot of the first comps and then
yeah,
suddenly jumping in the last half. But
yeah,
because it was based on the best comps you did, she made it
yeah,
through. She
yeah,
full ran that gauntlet for the end, and she made it, which is great.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely salute Bingo Kate for sure.
yeah,
Look, when the Olympics were announced, Paris 2024 was announced, there were two schools of thought that emerged, obviously. There were those who were ecstatic at seeing our culture come to the heights of the Olympics. Do you know what I mean? In our lifetime, you
yeah.
know what I mean? You can already tell which camp I was in.
Which camp were you in?
Well, it was in my lifetime. I got to see breaking go to the Olympics in my lifetime. Like
So you're cool for it. There
that's
was a lot of divide
phenomenal.
though.
There
Yeah.
was, right?
There was so much divide. There was like half. It was like half.
It was literally half.
We'll hip hop heads, so yeah.
Yeah. Which side did you lean a little more towards?
Honestly, like a lot of my crew, like if you would say like hybrid form side, were very. I wouldn't say they're all against it, but they weren't really for it. Um,
Hmm.
I would say I'm for it. Um, I'm sort of for it, but only for what it can provide the breaking culture. Like
Yes. Yes.
we shouldn't have to fit in a box or sacrifice for that or
Yeah.
necessarily like it's definitely breaking has changed because of it, like
Yeah.
maybe for the better, some for the worse, but I think it's the way
Yeah.
you take an experience that matters, and I'm for it because I think things should grow. I always think things should
Yes.
grow. I'm literally so different to what I was like 6 months ago and then 2 years before that. Like I changed like so rapidly. So I think like for some people, especially in Australia, the scene's quite broken from the generations.
Hmm.
Um, so this new surge is like a way of putting other audience and like other people and bringing like the everyman into breaking and introducing them to breaking. Because
Yeah.
yes, breaking culture is beautiful, but like it can grow more with the attention of other people that aren't necessarily breakers, that might be
Yeah.
observers. And it's just exposure. It's just exposure
Oh yeah.
to the craft or the art form.
Respect due to obviously those who felt that it may not have been the best step for the culture, but as someone who's participated in this culture for a good chunk of my life, you know what I mean? It just, to me, it was just such a breakthrough moment because at the end of the day, after all the battles, you want everyone to be able to still dance, not necessarily have to worry too much about having a part-time gig so that they can keep training. Do you know what I'm saying? And to do that, you need exposure. For that exposure is going to get you seen as marketable. They see it as marketable, guess what? Sponsorship money. Sponsorship money means guess what? You don't have to work, you can train. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it pushes it forward, regardless if
Exactly.
you get that or not. Like someone's going to be doing it and they're going to be pushing the level higher and higher. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Now,
but I
we
also
also...
think, oh,
Please go
sorry.
ahead. No, go
I was
ahead.
just
Go
going
ahead.
to say, like the ones that are for the culture and like kind of against it are kind of the people we need the most to guide us through it because they
Yeah.
know what's right and what's wrong. They know what the real reason behind breaking is. And I feel like,
Yeah.
if we lose them because they're just like, oh no, it's actually not good. It's bad because we need their guidance at the same time through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still respect and value to like that side, I think. But yeah.
I agree with you completely. The one thing I can say is because I might be a little closer to the generation that is most prevalent on the other side. And the only thing I can say to them is, change is constant. Like, things evolve. You know what I mean? Like, we can always hold true to the tenets of the culture. We'll never let go of that. But to not allow it to grow in whatever manner possible is, I mean, really?
That's death. That's death right there.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Now, speaking of battles, I believe that you have earned yourself the distinction, a very particular distinction right now, as ranked number one B-girl in Australia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, look at that! You see what I'm saying? There's so much more coming from you. We know it already. Now, why don't you walk us through how you got to that spot?
So it's actually pretty simple. So these spots, there's a certain amount of breaking comps in the year that are run by the
Yep.
Australian Breaking Association, and it's literally points gathered up from
Yep.
positions, if like final positions at the end of these comps, and then whoever's at the top wins or like gets ranked certain number. So there were two in Sydney actually. There was one in Melbourne and there was one in Brisbane as well.
Is that the battle series?
Yeah, the battle series. So those were the only ones that ranked with ranking battles. So those are the only ones that had points that counted towards the rankings. Yeah.
Right.
I actually missed one of the ones in Sydney, but I won my first one in Sydney and then I went to Melbourne and I won one there. And then in Brisbane, I actually got runner up to Sui, who's like a young
Hey, yes, yes.
um,
There you go. You also made a nice little mark at the BC1 qualifier, did you not?
BC1, as in this year. I
Yeah.
got runner up. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Again, more props, more props, more props.
I do want to make it to a world final though, so I do feel
Yes.
like that comp was it was an interesting one for everybody. I think just for the time of that comp and like the way everyone was feeling, but
Yeah,
still good to get out on the stage. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. I hope the training is not. I mean, you want to say hardcore because when you're focused, usually the training is hardcore. But how is the training going for you right now? How much time per week are you be able to devote to training?
So at the moment, I actually have a shoulder injury, so training
Oh,
is
damn.
different. Yeah. So I was doing like 2 conditioning sessions and then 4 like breaking sessions a week, breaking like 2 hours. Um, But yeah, now it's like a lot of just rehabbing the shoulder and footwork and trying to fit that in, and also trying to recover from a bit of burnout from I think the training year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit hard for me. Rest is really hard for me because all I want to do is all the time.
Yeah.
I have massive, massive guilt with that, but it's not gonna get better, and then I'll be
Yeah.
out for way longer if I don't rest it. So yeah, it's like I'm still training like 4 or 5 days a week, but a lot of it's just like lifting and like doing my exercises and then some footwork. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you jam up the shoulder?
I just overdid it with power.
Yeah.
It's like my stab freeze. I think it's my rotator cuff basically.
Oh, damn.
I was because I really, really wanted to get like more power incorporated into
Yeah.
my braking. So I was training my windmills, I was training my flares, my handstands to learn 90s and all of that stuff, tap mills, everything. And then it just said no to me. So,
Damn. I mean,
um,
I mean, it comes with the territory, right? When you're training hard and you're really trying to, you set goals for yourself, right? And when you try to reach those goals, it's tunnel vision, right? It's straight
Yeah.
up tunnel vision, and then it's going to happen. But I'm sure you've had the shoulder looked at, and I'm sure that your healthcare professionals have told you, if you wanna be able to like recover, you're gonna have to adjust the training to allow that to heal up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to
it's tough.
play. Yeah. No, keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was trying to make the footwork because I'm restricted, right? I'm trying to just play
Mm-hmm.
with it. I'm not gonna be like I'm gonna make some steps today and like drill this. I'm literally allowing myself to have fun again and just like mess around, leave some pieces, make something new, forget it, make something new again. So I think that's the process that I'm in at the moment. Yeah.
I hear that. I hear that. Well, I mean, Hannah, let's be real. Obviously, you know what you're doing. Obviously, you know what you're doing. I really hope you take care of that shoulder, right? I know. Like I said, that tunnel vision sometimes is gonna just, you know, sometimes throw caution to the wind a little more than the average person. But just make sure you take care of that shoulder, right? Because we want to see you keep going. We want to see some moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Fingers crossed. I hope to.
So are you doing any physio for the shoulder?
Sorry?
Are you doing any physio for it?
Yeah, yeah. I saw a
Good,
physio.
good.
There's a really good one here, so yeah.
One thing that I really loved seeing, well, here in Canada, I can only speak for what I saw here in Canada, but for what Breaking Canada did, getting, some real good training professionals on team. You know what I mean? Because you're athletes. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You're athletes, and you should have top tier professionals in your corner to take care of those moments when oh, shit happened here. Oh damn, I done fucked that up there, type thing. And I was really impressed at how seriously they were really approaching this. They really were looking at it from an Olympic mindset, which is obviously super, super, super clutch. Has Breaking Australia also put together that same type of team?
No, no. But I think it's due to funding. Like Louis does the best he can.
Mm,
And we've had some
yeah,
seminars and stuff like with the physio as well. But at the end of the day, you have to like fend for yourself a little bit. So
yeah,
I went to a place called Ethos to train my conditioning. I did that almost 2 years ago now.
mm,
Um, and that completely changed like my strength level completely because I hadn't really done
dope.
weights or anything before. But they train a lot of the fighters in Australia, so the
Yeah,
MMA fighters.
yeah,
So that there's similarity between MMA
oh yeah,
fighters and breakers. So
oh
and
yeah,
it's with the physio that I'm going to as well. He also treats a lot of MMA fighters, so they understand breaking
dope.
or at least the movement and the rotation and the fact that everything is um, yeah, like how severely we're pushing our bodies into twisting and rotating and stuff like
Yeah,
that, which is what causes an
yeah,
injury. So,
exactly.
yeah, so I
Yeah,
had to invest in that myself, but they were amazing. But now I do it myself, but it's a lot of it is what I've learned from them, from
yeah.
the strength. Yeah.
Good to have in your toolbox.
Mm.
For real. No, for real. No, I'm glad to hear it. That's awesome. Obviously, you're now repping Vanguards of Style. Outside of any competing that's going to take place this year, are there any upcoming performances or anything that the crew's going to be doing?
Um, I've sort of been cut out of a lot of these jams at the moment because I don't want to push
Oh,
myself. But
yeah, that's fair.
there's an amazing jam up next week. It's with a spray paint brand called Montana. And they
Oh,
have
dope.
they're really like close with lots of graffiti artists and they're running graffiti jams and then they're also running a breaking battle. So it's going to be hectic.
Oh,
And then
dope.
there'll be some summer jams, I think, as well, but not until next year, I think,
Yeah.
will it be ramping up. Yeah, I definitely I did a few gigs after I came back as well, so there was a few things going on, definitely. But yeah.
Okay, dope, dope. That battle that's coming up that's being sponsored by Montana, would that be live streaming?
Uh, I don't, I don't know. I don't think so. I could ask them though. I could ask them to live stream.
Oh, battle should be live streamed. This is global. Come on. No, I mean, because how else, how else are you going to get more exposure, right? I think live streams are important. We all produce live streams. I would like to point out. No, I
Them enough. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Anything that helps get that exposure out there, you know what I mean? Because I know after the Olympics, I started to see just locally how kids were so, inspired by, man, like enrollment of youth breakers just up. And that's what we need. We need to see that. We need to see more of that. You know what I mean? Because now, if you're coming up and breaking out, you have the benefit of a wealth of information and tools and resources that wasn't available like back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So coming up now, is there a better time to come up and break it right now?
Yeah. I was so sad that Freestyle Sessions didn't live stream, or at least I couldn't find
Yeah.
one. I was
No,
I couldn't see.
yeah, no, I was surprised too. I mean, they're planning to put out a DVD or something, but because I'd understand if they're putting out a DVD, I'd understand why they didn't do a live stream. But more live streams. Come on.
I think it's music rights too, though.
That is another thing. Yes, definitely. That's definitely one thing, and I am so glad that they got the licensing for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because I know that was a major concern for some folks. Like, oh, how are we going to get the rights to play all the music, though? You know what I mean?
It happened only in Budapest. So when we're doing the qualifier series, we still had to dance to like
Yeah,
no name beats in Shanghai,
yeah,
and then when we got to
yeah.
Budapest, like guys, we fixed the problem.
Yeah.
First time. So then that was just in time for the actual Olympics as well. So that was good.
No, I was very pleased to hear what the jams that they were bumping at the Olympics. I'm like, okay, awesome, good. There was a good mix. There was obviously licensed music and non-licensed music, but I love the fact that they were able to. Because come on, for the Olympics, they've got the sponsorship. They can pay for it. Come on.
All right, come on, sort it out. It's the Olympics.
Right? Well, Hannah, I really want to thank you. Thank you very much for spending time with us in the lounge space today, all the way from Australia. We love what we're seeing. We look forward to seeing you kick some more ass out there. And I want you to know, I hope this isn't the last time we get you in the lounge space. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great time. I've enjoyed
Nah,
it.
I'm glad to hear it. Respect you all day. Thank you again. And if you're not familiar, it's the first time you're hearing about this, just hop on YouTube. Okay? Just hop on YouTube. Put her name in there. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I need to say. Thank you very much, Hannah.
See ya. Thank you so much.
Peace.